What's up everybody, Jonathan here with Devslopes.com, and we're going to do something cool tonight. We are going to finally make our game menu, alright? So when we start up our game, we're going to have a cool game menu, and it's going to say, start and quit. But I want to make it, more cool, more interactive than that. So what I'm thinking we're going to do is we're going to have kind of a shot of our level here with the cool landscape and the scenery in the background, but I want to have the view right up in front of our four characters, and they'll be doing their animations with their attacks and stuff, and so they'll really be able to showcase their animations right up close and personal. Okay, so that's what we're gonna do. And in the past couple of sections, you've learned how to create game menus using a separate camera in the same scene. And I wanted to show you a little bit different way, having our game menu be in a separate scene and then loading our next level from the initial game menu scene, okay? So the first thing that I've done is I started, and we're going to use our sample scene in the same, in our new level. So I drug sample scene into prefabs, just like that. And so that now we have this sample scene as a prefab. And so the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to go into our scenes, and I'm going to right click and say create scene. And we're going to name this game menu. Okay. Then I'm going to double click it. It says scenes have been modified, so save it. All right, so now we're back to a completely empty scene. So what do we want to do? We're going to grab our prefabs folder, and from it we are going to drag in our sample scene. We're going to set the position to 0, 0, 0, and it's looking a lot darker than our other one, right? So if we go up here to our window and come down to lighting and come over here to light maps and press build. There we go. That looks better. Okay, so I'm thinking, let's have our four characters be kind of hanging out right here, and then we'll have the camera kind of at about eye level, and they'll be arranged in a type of semicircle, doing their attacks and showing off. All right, so let's go ahead and drag our models in. We're not going to use our prefabs because our prefabs come with all of those scripts, all of those components and everything bogged down with them. And so we're just going to use the models. So I'm here in the models folder, and I'm going to drag into our scene the hero, our ranger, our soldier, and our tanker. Okay, and I'm going to increase the scale of our tanker to 1.5, 1.5, and 1.5. And that looks good. Now let's grab our camera. Well, let's flip all these guys around. So I'm going to select all four of our characters, and in the rotation, I'm going to say 180 so that they're facing the right way. And then let's grab our main camera, and I'm going to pan out and grab it by its x-axis and just drag it over. I'm going to raise it up just a tad. Then I'm going to rotate it, pressing E and dragging it in the y-axis. Rotate it like that. Switch back to the movement with W, and I'm gonna scoot the camera in, maybe move it a little bit over here, and then press E again and rotate it inwards. And I think that's starting to get there. Let's rotate our characters in. So the tanker, we want to rotate in. I have the rotation, and I'm just going to grab it on the y-axis, push it in there, The main camera still needs to be closer, I think. Gonna switch back to movement with W. And I think I want the tanker moved out a little bit. I think that's good. Let's see here. Our soldier, let's rotate him in a little bit. So with E selected, I'm going to grab the Y-axis and rotate him in a little bit. With using W to switch back to movement, I'm going to move him out just a little bit that way. The hero, I am going to move a little bit this way and a little bit forward. And then our ranger, with E selected, I'm going to grab the Y-axis and turn him a little bit. He's a little bit sunk, so in his position, I'm going to change the Y to 0, get him back up to ground level. Then I'm pressing W back in the scene. Uh-oh. Select the ranger, and then I'm going to move him a little bit that way. All right, I think that's looking good. I'm going to save that. So yeah, I think that is looking pretty cool. So if we play this, not much is going to be going on because we haven't added any animations or anything. Well, we haven't added any animator controllers. And so we can, even though we're not using the prefabs, we can still borrow the animator controllers from our other, that we created in our other level. So with the tanker selected, I'm going to select the controller. I'm going to use circle select and I'm going to grab tanker. For soldier, I am going to select the controller for soldier AOC. For ranger, I'm going to select the ranger AOC. And for the hero, I'm going to select the hero AC. Now when we play, we should get some idling and some attack and some walking going on. All right, so everyone is doing something. That's good. Looks like our camera's a little bit off here. Let's see here. We keep. Hold on. Let me do full screen here. So it looks like we could shift it a little bit more to our right. So with the camera selected, I'm going to press E. And just rotate it a little bit that way. See how that looks again? A little better. I think I could do with just a little bit more. So I'm gonna do a little bit, rotating it a little bit more. All right, I think that looks good now. And actually, I'm going to press W and move in with the Z-axis just a touch more. Okay, that looks good. All right, now let's work on the UI. Actually, sorry, I'm going to move the main camera down just a little bit. Okay, that's just where I want it. All right, now saved. All right, now we can work on the UI. So let's do that. So I'm going to click on here in the hierarchy. I'm going to select a new UI and a new canvas. I'm going to call it menu UI. And what do we want in here? We are going to have a cool graphic at the top that says Legend of Devslopes. And then down in the bottom, we're going to have two buttons, one that says battle and one that says quit. So let's go ahead and get started with those. First off, let's do our text. So I'm going to add a text field. And it is going to be called Legend of. And the, well, first let's switch over to our 2D and so we can see our canvas. And then with Legend of selected in the hierarchy, I'm going to press F. All right, so that shows up and I'm going to call that here in the text. We're going to say Legend of. And our font is going to be God of War. Our font size is going to be maybe, let's say, 35. And I'm going to zoom out and resize this so that it fits. And one thing I wanted to show you here in the menu UI that we're actually going to change in our level scene as well is here in the canvas scaler, instead of constant pixel size, we're going to go with scale with screen size. So instead of if you're, for instance, I'm working on a Retina screen, which is my laptop, and then I have a non-Retina screen for my second monitor. And if you go from one to the other and you have the constant pixel size set, then on my one screen, on my non-Retina screen, it just like blows up. And so with the scale with screen size, it looks a lot better actually. All right, so that looks good for the legend of. Let's go ahead and set the anchor to the top center, and then we will also position it right about there. Select the legend of and change the alignment to center. Well, that was vertically centered right there. And then up here at the top, change the position Y. Yeah, change the position Y to about -50. I think will look good. Maybe a little bit less, maybe 35. Okay, let's see how that looks. Okay, coming along nice. And the next thing we need another UI text. And this one is going to say Devslopes. And we're going to make that a lot bigger. Font size, say maybe 50. And increase the size so that it fits. And drag that up here. We're gonna choose our anchor as up here as well, and position -100 looks good. Change the font alignment to center, and maybe 100 is too much, so I'm gonna try -80. That looks good. And we are going to need a new font for this one. This one's going to be a cool font. So open up your assets in your fonts, and we are going to drag in barbarian.ttf into our fonts folder, okay? And in our, so now with our Devslopes text, I'm going to rename this text object to Devslopes. Under the font, choose Barbarian, and look at that. That looks pretty sweet. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. I think we want the font to be a little bit bigger, maybe 60. Yeah. All right. Make that a little bit bigger to fill it up, and recenter this, and I think that looks real good. Change the position to -80. And now we're going to change up the font colors. So I was playing around with some font colors, and I think that the ones that look good for legend of is right here. So we're in the legend of text. I'm going to change the color, and I think the one that looks cool is, hold on, let me grab it here. Legend of, okay, so it's 59382FFF, okay? 59382FFF. And the one for Devslopes, I'm going to select the Devslopes text now, select the color, and the one that I like for that is 6E473CFF, okay? And so let's go ahead and play that and see how it looks on full screen. Hey, pretty sweet. We got our guys doing their thing. Cool font for the Devslopes, which reminds me, I need to provide attribution. So if you just search Barbarian font, you can find this font on the font, and the creator is Anthony Robinson, and so here's the attribution for it, and this is where you can download it yourselves. Okay, so back to our game. I'm thinking this is looking pretty cool. So now we just need our 2 buttons down here in the bottom. So let's go ahead and add those on, with menu UI selected. Come down here to UI and select button. And we're going to drag that down here. Let's see here. We want it pinned to the bottom, and position in the Y of 50 and the X of -100 for this one. And let's go ahead and style this one, and then we'll duplicate it. So what we want is our text for this one to say battle. Our font is going to be God of War. Our font size is 16. And our color is the same one as we used in Legend of, which is, hold on, $59382 FFF. And then, so that does it for the text. Go back to our button, and on the color, go ahead and select that, and we're just going to give that a lightish gray. You can pick one. The one that I have landed on is C3FF. Okay. All right, so that looks great. All right, so I'm going to close up the button, and I'm going to call it battle. And then I'm going to duplicate it and call this one quit. And then right here, I'm going to set the position to 100. Then I'm going to open it up and select the text and change it to quit. There we go. So now we got our Legend of Devslopes title. We have our buttons, battle, and quit. So that is shaping up real nice. I'm going to play it. And there we go. Battle and quit. And right now those aren't doing anything. We're gonna have to write a little bit of code to get those working. And then what I also want to do is in the same script, we're going to write a little coroutine that will play each of their attack animations. So I think that will add a little bit of spice to this game menu. All right. So I'm gonna close out here. And what do we need? We need a script. So I think we got all of our UI done. I think we got our landscape and our hero, or our enemies and heroes set up. So let's go ahead and down here in scripts, let's say create new C# script. We're going to call this menu. We're going to let's save. Let's double click menu, open menu up. So we got a brand new script here. I'm going to increase my font size for you guys. And what do we want to do? First off, let's go ahead and get our, do we want to do our buttons or our animations first? Let's do our animations first. Those are funner. So I'm going to need a few serialize fields, and we're going to grab we're going to use serialized fields to have a reference to our objects, our game objects, the hero and our 3 enemies. And then we're going to use those references to get the animator components from each of them, okay? And then from there, we're going to use those, we're going to call each of their attack animations inside of the coroutine. So I'm going to say game object hero. Then I'm going to copy and paste this 3 more times. And this one's going to be our tanker. This one is our soldier. And this one is our ranger. Then we're going to need animators. So we're going to say private animator, hero anim, private animator, tanker anim, private animator, soldier anim, and private animator, ranger anim. Okay, and then in start, we are going to grab each of those components using get component. We're going to say hero anim is equal to hero dot get component, and the component we want is the animator. Then tanker anim is equal to tanker dot get component, and we want the animator. And lastly, or thirdly, not lastly yet, we want the soldier anim is equal to soldier dot get component, and we want the animator, and then we want the ranger anim is equal to the ranger dot get component, and we want the animator. Cool, so now we have our references to everything we need to write our coroutine. So I'm going to call this coroutine, i.e. numerator, and we're going to call this showcase, because these guys are just sitting there showing off. Okay, so we're going to start out, right when we start, we're going to start this coroutine, but we don't want them swinging their axes right away. We're going to wait 1 second. So we're going to say yield, return, new, wait 4 seconds, and we're going to wait for 1 second. Then the hero is going to start it off. So we're going to say hero anim dot play, and we're going to start with the spin attack. Okay, so that's what that animation is called, if you recall. Then we are going to again wait for a couple of seconds. New, wait 4 seconds. We're going to wait for 1 more second before we move on to the next animation, which is going to be the tanker. So we're going to say tanker anim dot play, and we are going to play attack. Okay, and then we are going to wait another second. So I'm going to say yield, return, new, wait 4 seconds, and we're going to wait for 1F. And then we're going to say the soldier anim dot play, and we're going to say attack. And then we are going to wait another 1 second, yield, return, new, wait 4 seconds, and we're going to pass in 1 second. Then finally we are going to play the ranger animation dot play, and we are going to play his attack animation. And then finally we are going to wait 1 more second before we call it all over again. So we're going to have a recursive coroutine here. We're going to say showcase. Good. And from start as well, we are going to call it start coroutine. And the coroutine that we are calling is showcase. Cool, so I'm going to save that. Everything looks good. Okay, so let's run this and see if our characters are animating. So they are not. Now, why would they not be? Let's find out. They are not because I never even attached the component that we just created. We created the menu script, but haven't added it to anything. So I'm going to select the menu UI canvas, and I'm going to say add component, and I'm going to choose from our scripts our menu script that we just created. And then we need to drag into our slots our hero, tanker, soldier, and ranger. So let's drag in our hero, our tanker, our soldier, and our ranger. And we should actually have assert is not nulls on these. So let's hop back into our menu. I'm going to say, oops, I'm in the wrong monitor. Just going to bring that over here. So I'm going to say void awake. I'm going to say assert dot is not null. I'm going to say hero. Just going to copy and paste that 3 more times. Let's say, whoa. I'm going to say tanker, soldier, and ranger. All right, so now we have assert. We will have assertions that these are not null. And we have added them to our slots in our menu UI. And I think that will do it. I'm going to save and run. All right, so there goes our hero. There goes the tanker. All right, that looks pretty great. And they repeat. And it feels like you're going to get smashed by that tanker, don't it? All right, that looks great. All right, gonna exit out of here. Cool. All right, so what's left? Get the battle and quit buttons working. So let's head back over to our menu script. And we are going to create 2 public functions here. And we're going to say public void battle. And this is where the scene manager comes in. So scene manager is the class that allows us to manage our scenes, switch from one scene to another, search for level or search for scenes. And so we're just going to say scene manager dot load scene. And the scene that we are going to load is called level. So that's the one that we've been working on for all of the previous of this section. So scene manager dot load scene, and that scene that we're going to load is level. Then we're going to say public void quit, and we're just going to say application dot quit. Okay. In Unity, when we're working in the Unity editor, this is not going to do anything, but once we actually build our application and it's a standalone app, then it will quit for us. So I'm going to save that. And so how do we hook up these functions to our buttons? So let's go down here, check out our buttons. If you click on a button, and scroll down here to the on click, it says list is empty. So what we need to do is click the plus button, and then here, right here, let's see if we can open this up a little bit. It says none object. So what we need to do is we need to drag onto it the object that contains the script that is going to have the functions that we want. So we have the menu script on our menu UI object. So I'm going to drag the menu UI object onto here. And then here, it'll pop up and say no function, and we can come down here to menu, and we can pick our battle function. Pretty cool. So that is now hooked up. And then same thing for our quit button. I'm going to select quit, click on the on click to on the plus button to add one, and we're going to again drag on the menu UI right here, and then select from our menu drop down the quit function. Okay, I'm going to save that, and that should do it. We're going to run it and see if it takes us to our level. So we're doing our cool animations. Now I'm going to press battle, and nothing happened. Why not? Okay, so we have an error here. It says scene level couldn't be loaded because it has not been added to the build settings, or the asset bundle has not been loaded. To add a scene to the build settings, use the menu, file, build settings. So let's come up here to file and build settings, and we have we see here it says scenes in build. So I'm going to add open scenes, which will give us the game menu, and then I'm also going to drag in level from our scenes folder. And that's good. So I'm just going to close it. and run that again. And now let's see if we work. So I'm going to press battle and all right, looks good. You can see that it is darker again. So let's go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to save it. Then I'm going to open up the level scene from our scenes folder. And I'm going to come up to window again and lighting and light maps and uncheck auto and press build. Okay. Then I'm going to close out of here, reopen our game menu, press save to save the changes to the scene, and press play again. Okay, looks good. Battle. All right, there we go. That looks much nicer. All right. So you see, we do have some errors coming up, and this is because of our animation events that we had set for our attack animations. And so what we're going to do, we're going to, it's not a big deal, these errors, but just to make it nice and clean, make sure we don't have any errors at all, we're going to create a new quick little script to remove those errors. So back in our scripts, I'm going to create a new C# script and call it animation events. Okay, I'm going to open that up. And so what's happening is, if you recall in the other level, when we wanted to call these, have these animation events fire off a function, we would call them from public functions, and they need to be attached to the object that is calling the animations. Okay, so we're going to need this script attached to each of our hero and enemies. And just to make it quick, I'm going to put all of the animation events in this one script. So I'm going to say public void enemy end attack is one of them, and we don't need it to do anything at all. It just needs to be received somewhere. Then I'm going to say public void enemy begin attack. I'm going to say public void fire arrow. I'm going to say public void begin attack. And lastly, public void end attack. I'm going to save that and head back to Unity, and I'm going to attach that script to each of our game objects. I'm going to say add component, scripts, animation events. For the soldier, add component, scripts, animation events. For the ranger, add component, scripts, animation events. And for the hero, add components, scripts, animation events. And I'm going to save that. I'm going to not maximize on play to keep an eye on our console, make sure we don't have any errors. And I'm going to press play. All right, no errors. Everything looks great. And then I'm going to press battle. All right, so everything is looking wonderful. It's a little bit quiet in our game menu. So you know what, we're just going to add the same theme music. I'm going to attach an audio source to our main camera. With our main camera selected, I'm going to add component. I'm going to say audio source. Whoops, audio source. And I'm going to open it up. And the audio clip that I'm going to select is the theme music. I'm going to save and run that one more time. All right, so now we got some theme music in our game menu. We can quit. It doesn't do anything right now. We can then go into our battle. And that is pretty snazzy. All right, you guys, that's all we're going to do in this video. In the next video, we're going to handle the win and lose states. So right now we can die, but nothing happens. But right now we actually don't have the logic implemented to win. So we're gonna need to do that as well. So hope you're excited for that, and we will see you in the next one. Johnny B, Devslopes.com.